Nothing in this podcast or on our website should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider for your individual nutritional and medical needs. The information presented is based on our research and is strictly that of the author and not necessarily those of any professional group or other individual.
Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers. Welcome to Sue's Healthy Minutes. I'm so excited you've joined me today, and I hope this episode encourages you and allows you to find the answers you have been praying for the health of you and your family. Today on Sue's Healthy Minutes, I'm going to do something a little different. If you've been following me for a while now, you know how important gut health is to me. I've been teaching about it since the beginning of my journey in 1992, long before gut health, prebiotics, probiotics, and fermented foods were trendy. Young moms often share with me that their newborns or toddlers seem to have constipation issues, especially when they begin to transition to solid foods. Some little ones struggle with residual health concerns from complicated deliveries or necessary life-saving interventions at birth that may have disrupted their natural gut microbiome. Well, this week, through a newsletter I received, I read an article entitled Gut Health Heroes for Kids. This article is so good and says everything I want to say on the subject. I decided I would simply read it to you today. The article is by Kristen, a family nurse practitioner with Real Health Medical in Stockbridge, Georgia. Kristen began her journey in the neonatal ICU, where she developed a deep passion for caring for the most vulnerable and empowering their families with education and support. Her article, I want to share, is very timely for several reasons, but one is that I recently discovered a probiotic supplement designed specifically for newborns and toddlers. The first few months of life are important for establishing a strong immune system and good gut health. These pre- and probiotics by Begin Health that we now carry at Bread Beckers just might be a great foundation for your child's current as well as their future health. I will put the links to these products in today's podcast description and talk about them more in just a moment. But first, let me just read the article in most of its entirety. The article is entitled Gut Health Heroes for Kids by Kristen. Her heading, A Foundation for Lifelong Health. As parents, we all want the best for our children, especially when it comes to their health. More and more awareness has come to parents that the root of many chronic health issues begins in the gut. From immunity to mood, metabolism to skin, your child's gut plays a far more significant role in overall wellness than we once thought. Why gut health matters. The gut microbiome is a complex ecosystem of trillions of microorganisms living in our digestive tract. We have more microbes in our gut than we have cells in our bodies. These microbes do more than just digest food. They influence everything from brain function, immune strength, and even our very DNA expression. In fact, we now know that 70 to 80% of the immune system resides in the gut. Learning issues, gut. Allergies, gut. Asthma, gut. Skin conditions, gut. We all have experienced digestive symptoms like gas, bloating, constipation, and diarrhea at some point in our lifetimes. But research also shows that imbalance in the gut can contribute to more than just digestive issues. Gut imbalances can also impact weight struggles and metabolic issues, blood sugar dysregulation and diabetes, poor detoxification, mood disorders, anxiety, depression, brain fog, hormonal imbalances and sleep issues, skin problems like acne and eczema. Gut health begins early. The foundation of gut health begins in the womb and continues developing through birth and infancy. Key early life factors like vaginal birth versus C-section and breastfeeding versus formula feeding can influence the microbiome's development. The first 1,000 days of life are especially critical. These early experiences shape a child's gut flora and, by extension, their lifelong health. 4 main types of microbes reside in your child's gut: parasitic, bacterial, fungal, and yeast. When one of these types of microbes gets out of balance, dysbiosis, the bad microbes that lead to more serious issues become overgrown and outnumber the good, beneficial microbes. We then have an infection state that can cause systemic inflammatory conditions and many unwanted health issues that may or may not seem connected to the gut directly. Now, I want to pause reading the article for a moment. And before I continue, I want to stress that the information I am about to read is in no way to guilt trip anyone, especially those moms who were unable, for whatever reason, to have a vaginal delivery. Or perhaps your little one came into this world through circumstances totally outside of your control, and perhaps breastfeeding is not an option. I hope instead that you will be encouraged to learn that there is a way to get that critical gut microbiome established despite what you or your child has gone through. I will continue reading now the article as Kristen explains. Gut health benefits of vaginal births compared to C-sections. It's called microbial seeding during vaginal delivery. During a vaginal birth, babies are exposed to the mother's vaginal and intestinal flora. This initial exposure seeds the baby's gut with beneficial microbes like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. These beneficial bacteria help jumpstart the development of a healthy gut microbiome, which supports digestion, nutrient absorption, and immune system maturation. Immune system programming. The gut microbiome trained during vaginal birth helps prime the infant's immune system, reducing the risk of allergies, asthma, autoimmune disorders, and inflammatory conditions later in life. Improved digestive and metabolic health. Babies born vaginally generally have a more diverse microbiome, which is associated with lower risk of obesity, better blood sugar regulation, more efficient digestion and absorption of nutrients, reduced risk of infection and chronic conditions. Because their microbiome is more robust, vaginally born infants tend to have fewer infections early in life and may be less prone to chronic issues like eczema, food sensitivities, irritable bowel conditions. Babies born by C-section are often colonized first by skin-associated and environmental bacteria from the hospital, which can delay healthy gut flora development. And this can lead to lower microbial diversity, increased risk for inflammatory and metabolic disorders, and greater susceptibility to infections and allergies. However, all is not lost. Interventions like breastfeeding and skin-to-skin contact can help support gut development after a C-section. The gut-brain connection. Your child's brain and gut are in constant communication via the gut-brain axis. This network of nerves, hormones, and microbes play a powerful role in regulating mood and emotional resilience, cognitive development and focus, and conditions like autism spectrum disorders, PANS and PANDAS. The gut and brain are in constant communication through nerves, especially the vagus nerve, hormones, and chemical messengers like neurotransmitters. Surprisingly, The gut is often referred to as the second brain because it produces many of the same neurotransmitters that the brain does. For example, serotonin, about 90% is made in the gut. It regulates mood, sleep, and focus. GABA, G-A-B-A, helps calm the nervous system. Dopamine impacts motivation, attention, and learning. When the gut microbiome is healthy and diverse, it supports balanced brain chemistry. When it's out of balance due to poor diet, stress, or illness, it can contribute to mental and emotional challenges. How gut health impacts learning and emotional well-being? Number 1, mood regulation. A healthy gut supports the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. Imbalanced gut bacteria are linked to anxiety, irritability, and depression, even in children. Number 2, focus and attention. Dysbiosis or microbial imbalance may contribute to ADHD-like symptoms such as poor concentration and impulsivity. Inflammation in the gut can lead to neuroinflammation, which affects attention span and executive function. Number 3, behavioral and developmental disorders. Children with conditions like autism spectrum disorders often show signs of gut dysfunction, that is constipation, diarrhea, food sensitivity. Research has found links between gut microbiota imbalances and pandas, which can cause sudden shifts in mood, OCD-like behaviors, and tics. Number 4, stress response. A disrupted gut can lead to an overactive stress response, more cortisol, affecting emotional regulation, resilience, and even sleep quality. Stress itself can damage gut integrity, creating a cycle of gut-brain imbalance. Number 5, cognitive development and memory. Good bacteria help reduce inflammation and increase levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is essential for learning and memory. Gut inflammation and poor nutrient absorption can impair cognitive development, especially in critical early years. Unfortunately, modern lifestyles can disrupt our digestive system. Common threats include sleep disturbances, sedentary lifestyle habits, lack of sun exposure or vitamin D, processed and sugary diets, overuse of antibiotics, limited time outdoors, and poor food quality. The good news? Most of these contributing lifestyle factors are within your control as parents. I will stop reading the article here as Kristen goes on to give great strategies you can take both for yourself and your child, and these strategies line up exactly many of my steps to healthy living and eating. Number 1, eat real food. Eating real foods feeds your gut microbiome, fresh fruits and vegetables, and of course, real whole grains such as bread made from freshly milled flour. The fiber found in these foods are known as prebiotics and actually nourish and encourage the growth of our good gut organisms. Number 2, in this step of eating real food, you also want to focus on diversity as much as possible, especially with kids. Kristen calls it eating the rainbow. Different colored foods provide different beneficial nutrients as well as different types of fiber and beneficial organisms. Number 3 is to focus on good, live, probiotic foods. These foods supply us with good gut organisms that work together to create a healthy gut environment. These foods include fermented foods such as yogurt and kefir with live cultures, fresh fruits and vegetables, fermented if possible, like sauerkraut and kimchi. It is important to consume these foods daily at every meal if possible. But these foods are often not very kid-friendly or adult-friendly for that matter. This is where a good probiotic supplement might be very helpful, especially if your child had a more difficult birth or has had to be on antibiotics. There should be no guilt at all associated with these often necessary and life-saving situations. But now that you know how they might affect your child's microbiome and related health concerns, it is important to know that all is not lost. In fact, gut restoration is completely possible and very beneficial. Years ago, when I used to speak regularly at homeschool conventions, there was a specialist that spoke on learning, behavior, and sleep issues in children. I cannot remember her name now, but her information intrigued me. The first thing she recommended for the child was a good probiotic. Oftentimes, this was all that was needed to get the good microbiome in balance and in turn, the brain chemistry along with increased serotonin and dopamine levels and of course, digestive health, all of which can lead to a healthier and happier child. You know, I talk to more and more moms of toddlers these days who say their child is struggling with constipation. And unfortunately, the traditional recommendation is simply to medicate with stool softeners and often harsh laxatives. But I say, why not correct the issue by getting the gut microbiome healthy again? And I am so glad that I have found the Begin Health line of probiotics and prebiotics for infants and toddlers. The Begin Baby product is for full-term babies 0 to 1 year old, and the Growing Up prebiotics is for toddlers 1 to 3 years old. You can find the links in the podcast description today or search on breadbeckers.com for Begin Health. For older children and adults, we still recommend our Light Years Ahead prebiotic and probiotic superfood, and a link to that will be included as well. Please know that we care about your health and the health of your children, but nothing I teach or share should be taken as medical advice. Probiotics are typically safe to use with no drug interactions, but as a precaution, if your child is on a medication, you may feel more comfortable checking with your doctor. I hope that you have learned something from the information I read to you today, and as always, have hope that all is not lost. You do not have to start everything all at once. Maybe focus on the small things, or should I say, the small guys, your good gut organisms. Health can be restored, for we are truly, fearfully, and wonderfully made. If you want to learn more, be sure to tune in next week when my guest will be the owner and founder of Begin Health. We will talk all things gut health for you and your child. You don't want to miss it. Until next time, though, this is Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minutes.
Sue's Healthy Minutes podcast has been a presentation by the Bread Beckers Incorporated located in Woodstock, Georgia. For more information, store hours, and learning opportunities, visit breadbeckers.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Share this with 2 friends who would benefit from this information, and be sure to join us again next week for more of Sue's Healthy Minutes.